every single life matters.
Primary responsibility of government, first of all, which is security.
We bank mostly on intervention rather than prevention.
Democracy is a government where power resides with the people.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you. This is You.Gov, all about you and the government. We talk about government functions and responsibilities, and we also balance it by looking at your corresponding obligation as a citizen of your great nation. And of course, Nigeria is our focal point. Ito and Olomu-Agbodo will tell you what we'll be discussing this week. Stay with us. This week, we are taking a look at dissent as an integral part of democracy. Issues of freedom of speech and the press have continued to generate controversy in Nigeria, with the recent disruption by the police of a rally by the #RevolutionNow movement. Nigerians wonder if they can be guaranteed true liberty to call the government to account. Some reactions on our strategic segment.
We've got laws to do that, address that problem. Let us implement our laws instead of thinking creating a more dictatorial country is the way to do things.
George Orwell said, "True liberty is the ability to say what people don't want to hear." I'm a young Nigerian youth who has been thinking a lot about democracy and freedom of speech of late. And that's why I feel like I should air my own opinion. My name is Onyekachi. So today, I've been thinking a lot about democracy and freedom of speech. Abraham Lincoln actually defined it as the government of the people, by the people and for the people, which is democracy. And freedom of speech is one of the tenets of democracy. I feel it should be number one among the fundamental human rights. But of late, the elephant in the room has always been freedom after speech. Freedom of expression is being protected by the Nigerian Constitution, Section 39, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution. So it begs the question, why is that the freedom of speech and freedom after speech is not guaranteed? Logically, if we look at it, our founding fathers actually thought about it and said, okay, fine. We live in a very complex society, and to be able to interact with ourselves and resolve our issue and make our world a better place, we have to be able to express ourselves freely without that guilt or the fear of being assaulted. But over the years, those who have fought for freedom, those who have spoke freely, have not been free after their speech.
You're welcome back. Well, if you just joined us, this is You.Gov, and this week on the show, we are going to be taking a look at dissent, an integral part of democracy. If you say you are in a democratic society, you should be able to exercise your freedom of speech, and the opinions that you have are expressly yours. So you should be allowed to air your own opinions. So this week, that's what we're taking a look at. And you know, recently, Pastor Chris made this very sound pronouncement that we don't all have to agree on certain issues all the time. You have your opinion, I have my opinion, and we shouldn't fight over that. Let's take a listen to this.
We've had situations where everyone was expected to toe the same line. That's not a good word. We're not all the same. There are differences. And in a free world, in a free society, people have the right to air their views, their opinions. We don't have to say exactly the same thing. And if we don't say the same thing, it doesn't mean we have to fight.
Is saying we don't have to agree on all the points all of the time. You have your opinion, I have my opinion, and that is why we are taking a look at this topic. Since we operate a democratic system of government in Nigeria, we should be able to express our views freely. We have a report on press freedom and the need for dissent in a democratic society. Take a listen. Media censorship has been on the rise over time, but 2019 saw an exponential rise in censorship. In 2019, the Coalition for Whistleblowers Protection and Press Freedom, CWPPF, said it observed that public officers and influential individuals were increasingly intolerant of critical reporting and fair comments by journalists. Several media outlets have been penalized on occasion for comments which were labeled anti-government. Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution and several international instruments acceded to by Nigeria guarantee the right to press freedom as the media exercises their statutory duties. Citizens also have the right to be informed in an unbiased manner. Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, also guarantees the right to seek, receive and impart information and ideas of all kinds, either orally or in writing or in print, in the form of art or through any other media. With fake news campaign and other plots to totally control and stifle the influence of the media, several journalists and media outlets have gotten their fingers burned. Recently, the federal government has charged journalists, including Jones Abiri and Omoyele Sowore, with treason and terrorism for engaging in social activism and practicing journalism. The governors of Cross River States, Kaduna, and Kano States also followed this trend by charging Agba Jalingo, Chidi Odinkalu, and Naziri Ahmed, respectively, with offenses of terrorism, cybercrime, and criminal defamation, in what civil society groups described as a gag on the media. The draconian social media and hate speech bills were further attempts to silence any form of opposition to anti-people policies. Thankfully, those proposed legislations were still burned. In another attempt to totally annihilate press freedom, the federal government has raised the fine for hate speech from 500,000 to 5 million naira for media houses. The government also mandated broadcast stations to devote airtime for public education on emergencies such as the COVID-19 fiasco. What constitutes education in this regard? What happens when there are revelations of false reports and treatment regimen or exposure of unethical standards in terms of handling the so-called pandemic? It must be pointed out emphatically now more than ever before that the right to free speech and press freedom should not be sacrificed on the altar of docility. Dissent is an integral part of democracy and should not be snuffed out in the guise of emergency situation. Well, this week, we are not just going to be talking alone. We'll be joined by a legal practitioner who will be giving his own perspective on what the law says about dissenting voices in a democracy. Should we agree? Should we have our own opinions in a democracy? Take a listen.
Section 39, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria guarantees freedom of expression. And the African Charter on Human and People's Rights equally guarantees freedom of expression. The International Convention on Human Rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, guarantees freedom of expression. And freedom of expression is the foundation upon which democracy is built. A country cannot, in sincerity, claim to be practicing democracy if freedom of expression is caged, if freedom of expression is under check, if freedom of expression is under threat. So, every Nigerian citizen has the right to express himself and cross-pollinate ideas with other Nigerians. It is the hallmark of true democracy. And when this is lacking in any state, then there is trouble. Looking at the group called Revolution Now, Movement Revolution Now, I think it's within their rights to express themselves and criticize the government of the day constructively. It is within their rights to call to check any government agency they feel is not doing well. It is within their rights to call any public officer to check if they feel that public officer is not doing well. Because holding public office means at every point in time you can be called upon to give account of your stewardship. But if we must juxtapose the provision of Section 39, Subsection 1 with the provisions of the Police Act that empowers the Nigerian police force to ensure there is peace, orderliness in the society, I will say that the Nigerian police acted within the provisions of the law creating them in checkmating excesses or perceived excesses of the group. The true definition of revolution is agitation for forceful, sudden change of governments, sudden change of the political system in a society. So, if group of persons under the present dispensation decide to call for a revolution, you will not expect the government of the day to fold his hands and allow those agitating for revolution openly to continue agitating for revolution and, if possible, win followers to themselves. Because if that happens, the government of the day is going to lose control, is going to lose grip of governance. And that they want to do. So in balancing the provision of Section 39, Subsection 1, with the provisions of the Police Act that empowers the police to maintain law and orderliness in the society, vis-a-vis the provision of the Constitution creating the Nigerian police force, the government of the day, faced with a situation like this, we certainly want to use the instrumentality of the law to checkmate any group that is calling for revolution.
Well, that was a very interesting one. We have a right to peaceful protest, to express our views, and this right is constitutionally guaranteed. So that is why we should continue speaking, because that is where we can see change through our voices. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's 3,653 days snowballed into 10 years of victories, 10 years of impact, 10 years of beauty, 10 years of excellence, and 10 years of successes. Thank you, our dear esteemed partners. You made the years worth its while. For your unflinching support, your seeds of love, for standing with us through and through. Thank you. It's our festival of vibes.
Okay, we still have our distinguished speaker, a legal practitioner, who will be answering questions as to when there's a dissenting voice and these dissenting voices are silenced. How do citizens recover and how do they air their opinions in terms of creating change in their society? He will be responding to this and also proffering solutions and way forward.
But I want to submit that the group calling for revolution are calling for revolution because the government of the day has failed to meet up to his expectation. If the government of the day doesn't want a revolution, if the government of the day doesn't want people to agitate for a change of governance in the society, then the government should live up to his expectation. The government should provide the necessary infrastructure that will make life meaningful for the masses in the society. Look at our roads. From Abuja down to Lokoja, down to Kogi State, down to Edo, down to Delta State. Is nothing to write home about. What about traveling from Abuja to Lagos? Is nothing to write home about. What about traveling from Lagos, the expressway from Lagos to Ibadan, to Ore, to Ondo State to Benin? It's nothing to write home about. Go to our hospitals, people are dying every day. No drugs, no beds. Doctors perform surgery using torchlights and candles. Nurses in Nigeria are the least paid. Globally, how much are nurses paid? 10,000, 15,000. And you expect them to put the best. These are people that are saddled with the responsibility of saving lives. And you pay them 10,000, 15,000, 25,000 naira as salary. How much are nurses paid? What about other health workers? Last time, during the period of this pandemic, those in the front line, the health workers, they were complaining that their hazard allowances were not paid. And some people are sitting under the AC, going on with 500 million, 200 million in the name of being honorable. What is honorable about that? When your constituents are suffering and you are going home with big pay, sitting allowance, traveling allowance. When your constituents are in pains, you are demanding for brand new vehicle that is assembled abroad. Whereas they have the opportunity to buy Nigerian assembled vehicles. They rejected it. Why won't people agitate for a revolution? I believe in following the rule of law. I believe in democratic change of governance. I am not in support of any revolution. But I am saying, if the government of the day are losing sleep over the agitation for revolution by the movement for revolution now, then the government of the day should sit up and live up to its expectation. Revolution is not a tea party. Revolution is a call for violent change of governance. Revolution is a call for sudden change of governance. Revolution is a call for drastic change of the political system. As a result of dissatisfaction with the ongoings in the country, when people are not happy with the political trend, when people are not happy with the economic trend, when people are not happy with the social and cultural trend in the society, when people are pushed to the wall, there is every tendency that they will revolt. And in trying to revolt, there will be agitation for drastic change. And that is what the movement for revolution now are doing. So if the government is really sleep over it, the best solution, the best remedy is to ensure that those elected into public offices are accountable to the masses. The government should ensure that there are books and necessary infrastructures in our schools. Come to think of it, why should pupils be paying for primary education and secondary education in Nigeria, a country that called itself Giant of Africa? Technological developments, economic developments start with capital human resources development. Human resource development. If you don't develop your manpower through education, through proper training, then you can say goodbye to technological developments. And presently, globally, what is driving countries now is technology. Nigeria, as Giant of Africa, cannot remain at the back seats. Nigeria needs to pursue vigorously technological advancements, because it's only with technology that our country will be able to be at par with global powers. And in doing that, the country needs to revisit the issue of free education for primary and secondary schools in Nigeria. The country needs to revisit the issue of technical education in Nigeria. Free education should be provided for all in the primary level and at the secondary level. Then at the university level, the government can subsidize tuition. At the university level, the government can subsidize tuition. We cannot continue to live this way and expect people not to be aggrieved and expect people not to protest. It's within their rights to criticize the government. It's within their rights to praise the government if the government is doing well. But I do not support agitation for a revolution. One can express his criticism about the government of the day as provided for under Section 39, Subsection 1 of the Constitution, without necessarily calling for a revolution. So, the movement, the organization, the group calling for revolution will not expect the government of the day to fold his arms if they are calling for a violent, drastic change of governance. And the only way the government can checkmate them from that agitation for a drastic and violent change of governance is in applying the instrumentality of the law, which is by using the Nigerian police force to checkmate their agitation. But I will advise that the government of the day, if they don't want people to continue agitating and criticizing the government of the day, they should do the needful. The power supply in the country is so poor. and these need to be checked. People cannot continue, the discos cannot continue charging people estimated billions without supplying electricity. These need to be checked. Corruption need to be checked with honesty in the country. We should not just give lip service to issue of fighting corruption and without doing the needful. We should not do selective prosecution of corrupt leaders, of corrupt politicians, or corrupt public office holders. If the government is doing the needful, there won't be any need or any call for a revolution. I do not support revolution. I do not support cry for a revolution, but I support that all Nigerian citizens have the right under the provision of Section 39, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to criticize the government of the day in order to call their attention to those maladministration and to those ills which Nigerian citizens are facing. Thank you very much.
Well, we need to keep speaking because that is how we'll see change in our society. If your voice is silenced, speak up again. People fought for the freedom of nations globally. You can just be another campaigner and another advocate for freedom. And remember, the price to pay for true freedom is eternal vigilance. We have some more tidbits for you. Well, that's how much we can take this week on You.Gov. We'd like you to join our conversation by using our hashtag You.Gov, hashtag LoverPlus to send your comments. Remember, you have a role to play in the growth and development of your nation. And you can also log on to our website on www.loverplus.tv, and we'd like you to download our app, Lover Plus. I am Olomu-Agbodo. God bless you and God bless Nigeria.